11/2016 City of Palatka meeting, City of Palatka City Commission meeting to order. We will have our invocation by the Reverend Chad Perry, pastor of the River Community Church. Pastor Perry, we also ask you to lead us in the pledge to the flag. Will everyone please stand?
Let's pray together. Father God, we thank you for another beautiful afternoon in the city of Palatka. We thank you for the blessing it is to live here and to raise a family here, to have businesses here. Father, your word declares that as you love us and lead us into your truth, if we humble ourselves, that literally you'll give us the wisdom that we need to govern this city. So today that's what we ask for, Lord. Speak to us clearly that we might make the decisions that need to be made for a better Palatka. And we be sure to give you the glory and the honor and the praise. In the precious name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's enjoy the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Perry. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill,
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Borum,
Present.
Commissioner Campbell,
Present.
Commissioner Norwood.
Here.
All members are present and accounted for, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes from the January 28th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second. There's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Question's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to public recognition. And we have a couple special public recognitions today. First is the Gas Authority Board retirement for Mr. Charlie Rayburn. I'm going to ask if we have anybody else from the Gas Authority come up with us at this time. And this recognition reads as follows: presented to Reverend Charles Rayburn, Gas Authority Board of Directors, June 8, 1989 to February 11, 2016. With sincere thanks and gratitude for 27 years of outstanding community service to the City Commission and the citizens of Palatka, Florida, with appreciation for your commitment to good government. Presented this 11th day of February 2016, Palatka City Commission and staff. Let's get a round of applause for Mr. Rayburn. 27 years of committed service, and we've got Mr. Rayburn's son here as well. You want to go ahead and say a couple words?
It's with the sad and heavy heart that I accept this on behalf of my father. As most people know in the town, he is battling double lung cancer and has progressed to the point where he's no longer able to readily get out. So I want to thank the community, City Commission, and the Gas Authority for the opportunities that he's had to further the gas program in the city and into the surrounding areas. Thank you.
You guys want to say anything about Mr. Rayburn?
I've only had the opportunity to work with Charlie for 5 years, and I know I'll miss his leadership, his guidance, both in the business and spiritually, and as professionally as a person. I think about everybody in the room probably knows him very well, probably better than I do, but I know I'll miss him personally, and we enjoyed the time he served for us. Thank you.
Before we leave, Reverend Charlie, there was something else that he put his heart and soul into and worked with us on. We had a caring center here for a number of years that took care of people who didn't have anywhere where to go. He was very active in keeping it going, and it lasted for maybe more than 10 years. So he was always volunteering his time to help and take care of people in the community. And we want to thank him also for that, for all that good service he gave, because there was no other shelter in the county.
I know Mr. Holmes also worked very, very closely with Mr. Rayburn for many years. Gas Authority, we thank him for his commitment. Our prayers go out to your family, to your father. We will continue to pray for you. And we want you to let him know that we love him and we thank him for all that he's done for us. Let's give one more round of applause for Mr. Rayburn. The second item on the agenda, item 1, that goes along with A, is the acceptance of the resignation of Charles Rayburn effective immediately with regrets. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
Second it.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to Part B. We'll go to proclamation for Clean Sweep Month. We're actually skipping B. We're going to go to C. We'll bring B back at the next meeting. We're going to ask Miss Yvonne Parrish, will she come up? She's reading my mind. And this proclamation reads, whereas it is important to create public awareness of the need to protect the environment and to maintain the appearance of our communities, that it is the responsibility of every citizen to strive to keep public and private property clean and free of debris, trash, and garbage. Whereas springtime marks the beginning of the festival season in Palatka and Putnam County, during which time hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world will visit Palatka and Putnam County in order to take part in festivals and festivities. Whereas the city of Palatka proudly partners with Keep Putnam Beautiful to sponsor Operation Clean Sweep, Greater Palatka Cleanup, an environmental cleanup program during the month of February each year in order to help make our community the prettiest and cleanest it can be. And whereas as a part of the program, more than 30 service organizations routinely maintain the appearances of miles of roadways in Palatka and Putnam County through Adopt a Highway programs, wherein volunteers pick up litter along the shoulders of the city, county, and state streets and highways on a regular basis. And whereas the city of Palatka wishes to encourage all citizens and property owners within the city in this cleanup effort by declaring an amnesty period for yard trash, large items, and appliance pickups during the last 2 weeks in February of each year. And will offer this service free of charge from February 15th through March 2nd, 2016. Now therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, hereby declare February 2016 as Operation Clean Sweep, Greater Palatka Cleanup Month in the City of Palatka, and hereby encourage all citizens to clean up weeds and litter around their homes and businesses, participate in individual and group cleanups, paint up and fix up programs, volunteer their time to help their neighbors clean up their properties, and help to support organizations, neighborhood, and individuals in an effort to keep our communities clean and well maintained throughout the year. And witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused to be affixed to seal the City of Palatka, Florida on this 11th day of February in the year of our Lord 2016. Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borland, Justin Campbell, and James Norwood Jr. Commissioners.
I'm here representing Keep Putnam Beautiful. I've been on the board since 2004, which I probably just dated myself a little bit. However, our very able executive director, Marcia Marinello, couldn't be here tonight. She's in Crescent City kind of doing the same thing. And I graciously agreed because I love this organization. I'm especially proud that we have been able to partner with Palatka Pride and bringing forward an effort that I know it's been a long time in coming, and I think it's made a big difference already and hope to make even more of a difference. Last year, we had over 1,200 volunteers over 3,500 hours of volunteer service, which added up to over $81,000 in benefit, if you will. We picked up 16,000 pounds of trash. And if anyone's, I was talking with a couple in the audience, if you're interested in cleaning up your road, we provide, they need to be returned, grabbers and gloves, and we do give you the bags. If you want to clean up, just call Marcia at the office, 325-9598, and we can make that arrangement. We can also, hopefully, if you want a community cleanup, rally some volunteers to help you in that and get a dumpster and get your trash picked up that way. So with that, we have plenty of new programs. We're starting 2 new community gardens. We've donated a couple of trees to Hank Bryan Park. We participate in festivals. We do adopt the road. Please, that's really taking off. All the help we can get. We're trying to get signage out. It'll have your name on it. What a neat little thing. And all in all, we're very, very happy to be partners with your special organization. And thank you again so much for that.
Thank you, Ms. Parrish. And as a point of information, we also want to invite you out on next Saturday morning, starting at 8 o'clock, to our Palatka Pride cleanup. It will be along St. John's Avenue, starting at the riverfront, going all the way to the hospital. And so we will clean up from St. John's Avenue, from the riverfront to the hospital, and also Booker Park will be a part of that cleanup as well. So we welcome each of you to come out. We traditionally, in our cleanups with the fellowship, time where we sit down and we'll have refreshments and just kind of talk to one another. Last year's cleanup brought about 500 people out. And so we hope that you guys can join us this year and make it an even greater event. Our next proclamation, we're going to ask Bob Taylor to come up for this one. Bob, do we have anyone else from Rotary that you want to bring up with you?
Wayne McLean. My wife is also here, Diane Taylor. Chop liver. And Mary Garcia. Come on, Mary.
Come on up and join us.
And Sharon Buck. Thank you, Sharon.
This proclamation recognizes Rotary has a Heart Day. Whereas Rotary International, founded February 23rd, 1905 in Chicago, Illinois, is the world's first and one of the largest nonprofit service organizations, and whereas there are over 1.2 million Rotary Club members comprised of professionals, business, and community leaders in over 34,823 clubs in 206 countries and geographic areas. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas local clubs are encouraged to participate in community service projects centered around Rotary International's 6 areas of service: basic education, literacy, economic and community development, disease prevention and treatment, peace and conflict prevention resolution, water and sanitation, maternal and child health. And whereas Rotary is committed to adopting projects to help do good in the world, and whereas the Rotary Club of Palatka is one of approximately 1,600 clubs throughout 8 states in the District of Columbia, the United States, and 20 countries of the Caribbean, with more than 67,500 members sponsoring a project in the first quarter of the year 2016, finding Valentine's Day 2016 directly in the middle of this time to satisfy the need in the community, thus doing good in the world. Now therefore I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, hereby proclaim February 14th, 2016 as Rotary Has Heart Day in the City of Palatka, and hereby encourage all citizens to join me and Rotary International and the Rotary Club of Palatka in making sure this project is given proper recognition. And witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed to seal the City of Palatka, Florida on the 11th day of February, the year of our Lord 2016. Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, James Norwood, Junior Commissioners.
Thank you very much. I wanted to acknowledge that there are 5 other Rotary clubs in our area. The Sunrise Rotary Club, you heard Yvonne Perry, current president. The Interlochen, Crescent City, Hastings, and a new E-Club out of Green Cove Springs. So we're all participants in the Rotary Has Heart program. And also wanted to emphasize one of our highlight programs this year is in conjunction with Mary Garcia and the Palatka Health Department, Wayne McLean, Ford Lincoln, Beck Ford Lincoln, to get it right, Palatka Daily News, and to date we've raised over 2,500 pounds, take that back, it was about 1,500 pounds of food and $2,300 in cash, which goes to serve food to the needy in Putnam County. So we appreciate the opportunities to serve. As Mayor Hill said, our motto is service above self. And I wanted to highlight what he read in the proclamation on February the 23rd. Rotary will be 110 years old. So we thank you again for this opportunity to serve the citizens of Putnam County and Palatka. Thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. We're gonna have this, Ms. Garcia actually is gonna do a Healthy Weight Community Championship. We wanna have her talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. These just came in from the Surgeon General, so I wanted to take the opportunity today. The city of Palatka was one of 5 municipalities in Putnam County to be recognized, one of 80 across the whole state of Florida of communities to be recognized as a Healthy Weight Community Champion for their efforts in partnership with the Department of Health and other organizations to create a healthier environment in the city of Palatka. So I wanted to be here and represent this to you from the State Surgeon General to the city of Palatka. You're very welcome, and we'll see you Thank you.
And again, we thank the health department for all the work that it does in this community. And I guess this road started with Walk with the Mayor last year. Since that time, I don't necessarily think I've been the greatest mascot for this program, but we are working towards better days. So we're back on it again. We're looking forward to seeing Commissioner Campbell jog the trail. It lasted about a quarter mile. Now we're gonna have our fire department come up at this time. We got our chief and our assistant chief here, who has how many days now?
109.
He's got 109 days to retirement, and so we're gonna recognize some promotions and new hires at this time.
Yeah, come on, step up, guys. Basically here to introduce you to some of the new firefighters we have that started with us in the last year, and to one promotion. We'll start with the promotion. Darren Denmark has been with us since November 2010. He promoted to engineer January 2015. I consider him local to Keystone, it's close enough. Darren's an excellent employee. He tested very well, works really hard at what he does. He's a good mentor to the younger guys. Engineer in our department is the first step past firefighter. Basically, he's the guy that works with the guys, teaching the equipment and stuff like that. He does a very, very good job. Next, Kenneth Reed started in November 2014. He's a new firefighter. Introduce Kenneth Reed. You want to step forward a little bit? And then Austin Davis started with us in September 2015. He's actually from Palatka. Kenneth is from the Hollister area. And then David Young couldn't make it tonight. He's from Keystone. He started October 2015. And Matt Pope started November 2015. He's our newest employee. He's from Georgetown. Basically just here tonight to introduce you to some of our Palaca's finest. These guys have been with us a little while, and they're doing a great job, and they're learning the city and learning what they're supposed to do. I'd also like to recognize their family that's here with them. I think Denmark's wife, his boss is here, and Austin Davis's mom and wife are here. Appreciate you guys coming out, and true honor to introduce these guys to you, and appreciate it.
And as these guys as the fire department takes their seat, we want you guys to all know that our fire department does more than just put out fires. They volunteer. Most recently, they've gone out to Shawbuck Field, and they're working on repairing the dugouts. They volunteer in several different manners. They work with Palaca Pride. Every time we have a cleanup, you're going to see the fire department, the police department there. So our employees are going over and beyond the call of duty. Not only are they employees, but they're also citizens that are deeply involved in the growth of this community. And we thank them every day for their commitment to their job and to their community. We're now moving to item number 2, which is public comment. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on the topics of discussion. Is there anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Item number 3 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item A is to adopt resolution number 2016-1208, authorizing execution of FEMA 178543R grant agreement modification to amend Phase 2 project budget to $455,784, $341,838 federal share, $113,946 city share. Oak Street, St. Johns Avenue, 700 block. Item B, adopt resolution number 2016-12-09, authorizing an application for the 2015 Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta Competitive Affordable Housing Program. C, adopt resolution number 2016-12-10, authorizing submission of a USDA Community Facilities Grant application for the acquisition of an engine pumper fire truck. D, adopt resolution number 2016-12-11, authorizing the issuance of a special events permit number 16-15 for the 70th annual Azalea Festival, setting forth provisions of the permit, authorizing the closure of certain streets to vehicular traffic during the festival's event, grant permission to exceed allowable noise levels, and setting permits and other fees. E, adopt resolution number 2016-12-12, authorizing the issuance of special events permit number 16-14 for the 2016 Blue Crab Festival, setting forth provisions of the permit, granting permission to serve, consume alcohol on public right-of-ways, and exceed allowable noise levels, authorizing the closure of certain streets to vehicular traffic during the festival's events, set permit fees. Are there any items on the consent agenda that you wish to remove?
I'd like to pull C, item C for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve items A, B, D, and E of agenda item 3.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Question's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item C of the consent agenda, resolution 2016-12, authorizing the submission of a USDA Community Facilities Grant application for acquisition of an engine fire truck. As they're coming forward, Commissioner Boral. Mr. Griffith's coming.
That's what.
You're up, chief.
Yes, sir. Chief Lambert, City Palatka Fire Department. It's USDA grant.
Yes, sir.
Basically the same thing we did 3 years ago, and we received a truck for. They pay up to 50%, or 150. We got a little bit more than that last time. Right now, we've been in need of another truck for at least 10 years. I mean, our next truck in line from the one is 3 years old, and we run 2 first out trucks, and then we have 2 backups. The next 2 trucks in line are 20 years old, and the next one after that's 25. So we're running a 20-year-old truck first line out of the K. Larkin station, which is always, we always have at least 1 truck down. A lot of times we have 2 trucks down. So I think it's imperative that we find a truck. This is the most economical way to go. I've also filled out another grant through AFG, which is very difficult to get. It's a 95% pay, and 5% match, but likelihood of getting that is very slim. Fortunate with this grant, we apply for it, we get it now. We don't have to buy it right now. By the time we order it, it's something we can look at financing the other half down the road. But it's something we really need.
Any questions for chief?
Well, I was just looking at it from understanding it wasn't budgeted for 15, 16, and it's not also budgeted for 16, 17, and if we needed a truck or what have you, I think we probably need to have that in the budget.
It's always been in my budget,
Right.
every single year.
Well, at least from what I'm saying, but I just saw in the write-up that it wasn't in there, and it's not budgeted. And so we'll be on the hook for $180,000 from what I understand, if the grant is
Well,
awarded.
Actually, it'll take months before the grant's done like that. We'll be through this year before we even settle on doing anything.
Correct.
And the other part of it is you don't have to do it right then. Once you're awarded the grant, there's not a timeline. Go ahead, Matt.
The way these grant works is it's just an application. Once we apply for it, we'll know if we've been awarded, and then we accept the grant, and then we can plan it and put it into a budget. And I think it's 5 years, Jonathan, that we have to spend the money if we've been awarded it. So
Okay.
this is just the preliminary.
All right, I just
apply for it.
saw in the write-up, and it said it wasn't part of 15, 16, and 16, 17, and if we needed a truck, I'd like to have seen it in there, but thanks for the,
It's something that we can plan into next year's budget when we start working on it in a couple months if we do find out if we're going to get the grant.
all right, appreciate it, thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
There's a motion to approve. There's a second. We'll call the question.
Question?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to public hearing. Item 4 on the agenda is an ordinance amending subpart B, Article 2 of the City of Palatka Charter related laws governing the Palatka Gas Authority, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, amending provisions of Article 2 of the City of Palatka Charter relating to the Palatka Gas Authority, allowing record owners of property within the city to serve as authority board members, allowing the board to determine the salary of the manager, subject to the City Commission's power to override, establishing procedures by which the authority shall account for and transfer revenues collected which are not generated by the authority's operation, providing for the monthly transfer to the city of a portion of the gross revenues collected by the authority and generated by its operation, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. We're now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Question's been called. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borum?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Norwood?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 5, Fair Housing Workshop, CDBG CO4 fiscal year 2013 cycle, quarterly requirement, service area number 1, City of Palatka. Page 16. Just a typo.
What?
2013.
2016 cycle.
Yep.
It's the 13th cycle
It's the 13th cycle.
that we're, yeah, it's required quarterly for the 13th cycle.
Okay.
That's the Riverfront grant.
Good evening. This is part of requirements to do a quarterly fair housing workshop with the CDBG Commercial Revitalization Grant that is going to improve the parking lot across from the church on the riverfront, and also improve the road going into it. In this workshop, I'm going to pass around a sign-in sheet, and everybody sign it, but if you are a city employee or on a city board, also fill in that portion if you would, please. And I've got copies of what I'm presenting tonight, if anybody would like a copy, if you know someone that may have some fair housing issues within the city or any other community, if you come to me after the presentation, or if you want it now, I'm going to give it to you. And with that, I'll begin the presentation. The Federal Fair Housing Act was adopted in The Federal Fair Housing Act was adopted in 1968, and basically was amended twice more, once in 1988, once in 1995, and the amendments addressed additional classifications that were protected, specifically familial status, and individuals over 55 years of age, with some exemptions. And the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based upon someone's race or color, their national origin, their religion, their sex, the familial status, which basically means they have children living with them under the age of 18, and they are the custodian or the parent for that child, and the fact that someone is disabled. The Department of Housing and Urban Development enforces the Fair Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination and the intimidation of people in their homes, apartment buildings, and condominiums in nearly all housing transactions, including the rental and sale of housing and the provision of mortgage loans. What housing is covered? The Fair Housing Act covers most housing. In some circumstances, the Act exempts owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units, single-family housing sold or rented without the use of a broker, and housing operated by organizations and private clubs that limit occupancy to members. What is prohibited in the sale and rental of housing? In the sale and rental of housing, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. Refuse to rent or sell housing, refuse to negotiate for housing, set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of a dwelling, falsely deny that housing is available for inspection, sale, or rental, for profit, persuade, or try to persuade homeowners to sell or rent dwellings by suggesting that people of a particular race, etc., have moved or about to move into the neighborhood, which is known as blockbusting, or deny any person access to, membership, or participation in any organization, facility, or services related to the sale or rental of dwellings. Housing protection for families with children. The Fair Housing Act makes it unlawful to discriminate against a person whose household includes one or more children who are under 18 years of age, which is familial status. Familial status protection covers households in which one or more minor children live with the parent, a person who has legal custodial custody, including guardianship of a minor child or children, or the designee of a parent or legal custodian with the written permission of the parent or legal custodian. Familial status protection also extends to pregnant women and a person in the process of securing legal custody of a minor child, including adoption or foster parents. Another protection, additional protection if you have a disability. If you or someone associated with you have a physical or mental disability, including hearing, mobility, and visual impairment, cancer, chronic mental illness, or HIV/AIDS that substantially limits one or more major life activities, are regarded as having such a disability, a housing provider may not refuse to let you make a reasonable modification to your dwelling at your expense. A landlord may permit changes only if you agree to restore the property to its original condition when you move. An example would be a building with no pet policy must allow a visually impaired tenant to keep a guide dog. However, the Fair Housing Act does not protect a person who is a direct threat to the health or safety of others or who currently uses illegal drugs. The Housing for Older Persons Exemption. The Fair Housing Act specifically exempts some senior housing facilities and communities from liability for familial status discrimination. Exempt senior housing facilities or communities can lawfully refuse to sell or rent dwellings to families with minor children in order to qualify for the Housing for Older Persons exemption. A facility or community must prove that its housing is provided under any state or federal program that HUD has determined to be specifically designed and operated to assist elderly persons as defined in the state or federal program, or intended for and solely occupied by persons 62 years of age or older, or intended and operated for occupancy by persons 55 years of age or older. The facility or community must comply with HUD's regulatory requirements for age verification of tenant or residents. The Housing for Older Persons exemption does not protect senior housing facilities or communities from liability for housing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, or national origin. If you think your rights have been violated, these are the items you would put in a written complaint to HUD. Basically, your name and address, the name and address of the person your complaint is against, basically call the respondent, the address or other identification of the housing involved, a short description of the alleged violation, the event that caused you to believe your rights were violated, the dates of the alleged violation. Local ordinances include steps that can be taken locally. Your local ordinance also includes time limits in which complaints must be submitted and responses must be provided. And this is the address where you would write the Southern Regional Office of HUD. Again, I have packets to pass out if somebody would like this information. I'm not going to read all this, but you're welcome to it, and I've got more than enough for anybody that would like one. What happens when you file a complaint? HUD will notify you in writing when your complaint is accepted for filing under the Fair Housing Act. HUD also will notify the alleged violator, also known as a respondent, of the filing of your complaint and allow the respondent time to submit a written answer to your complaint. Investigate your complaint and determine whether or not there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent violated the Fair Housing Act. Notify you and the respondent if HUD cannot complete its investigation within 100 days of filing your complaint and provide reason for the delay. If the Fair Housing Act conciliation during the complaint investigation, HUD is required to offer you and the respondent the opportunity to voluntarily resolve your complaint with a conciliation agreement. What happens after a complaint investigation? Determination of reasonable cause, charge of discrimination, and election. When the investigation is complete, HUD will prepare a final investigative report summarizing the evidence gathered during the investigation. If HUD determines that there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondents discriminated against the complainant, HUD will issue a determination of reasonable cause and a charge of discrimination against the respondents. The complainant and the respondents will have 20 days after receiving notice of the charge to decide whether to have the case heard by a HUD administrative law judge, or to have a civil trial in federal district court. HUD administrative law judge hearing, if neither the complainant nor the respondent wish to have a federal civil trial before the 20-day election period expires, HUD will promptly schedule a hearing for the complainant's case before a HUD administrative law judge. The administrative law judge hearing will be conducted in a locality where the discrimination allegedly occurred. During the administrative law judge hearing, the complainant and the respondents have the right to appear in person to be represented by legal counsel, to present evidence, to cross-examine witnesses, and to request subpoena in aid of discovery of evidence. Along with the federal fair housing law, there's also a local fair housing ordinance. The city of Palatka has included provisions for fair housing in the city's fair housing ordinance adopted December 8, 1983, and amended on December 12, 1985, replacing the category physically handicapped with handicap, and again on September 27, 1990, adding the category familial status. Complaints must be submitted in writing within 60 days of the incident to the city, and then the city review has a 30-day notification response and investigative period. And then if the city finds the complaint is justified, the city will forward the findings to the state attorney's office. And Betsy has copies of the City of Palaka's fair housing ordinance. You can request them from her here at City Hall. And that is the presentation. Answer any questions?
None from us. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Fox.
If anybody again would like a copy of this, just come up to me after this presentation.
Fox, would you tell, let the audience know how regularly you do this with us?
Yeah, basically your contract with the state requires that we do a fair housing activity every quarter. But they have to be, for each quarter of the year, they have to be different activities. So at some of the festivals, there's a booth with handouts. I think one of the things we do is provide some fair housing coloring books to some of the kindergarten children. So there's various activities each quarter, and you have to actually vary them, where you can only repeat an activity once within a year. And you'll have that as long as you have that open commercial revitalization CDBG grant.
Thank you, sir. Moving to agenda item number 6, a request to amend the contract for purchase and sale between the City of Palatka Riverfront Development Group, LLC, Joseph C. Corky Diamond, manager. Mr. Diamond, Mr. Wood.
Mayor Hill, Commissioners, Mr. Suggs, Mr. Holmes, Michael Woodward, 501 Atlantic Avenue, Interlochen, appearing for Riverfront Development Group. I'd like to bring you up to speed on where things have gone since Mr. Diamond appeared before you at the last City Commission meeting. He came to me the next day and he was upset. Who was he upset with? He was upset with himself, because he realized he had not done a good job of making a presentation to you, and that at times the tone of the discussion became unnecessarily acrimonious, and he recognized that he bore some responsibility for that. He came to me because he wanted my help to re-engage with the city in a more productive fashion. So please understand that when you see me here as an attorney representing Mr. Diamond and Riverfront Development Group, it does not mean that he is lawyered up and is spoiling for a fight. My role, as I understand it, is not to pick a fight with the city, but to try to prevent one. We weren't able to re-engage productively with the city. We have had several meetings, and when I say we, I mean I, Mr. Corky Diamond, his brother, Mr. Tim Diamond. We met with Mr. Suggs and Mr. Holmes and had some serious discussions to try to find a way forward. This city is very fortunate to have Mr. Suggs and Mr. Holmes working for it. Those two gentlemen are tough negotiators. They are looking out for the city, they are looking out for the taxpayers, and they are not about to give away the store, let me tell you. But at the same time, they recognize the value of keeping an open mind to explore alternative solutions to difficult problems. After much discussion, we finally arrived at the point where just yesterday, I was able to put something into writing. As of today, we were still passing drafts back and forth between myself and Mr. Holmes and passing them to other people to review. When we asked for this to be put on the agenda, the request was made several days back when we anticipated that we would have something to you in time for you to review it before the meeting. It didn't quite work out that way. We don't think it would be fair to you or to the people you represent to expect or ask you to act on a fairly complex legal matter and document without having had sufficient time to review it, discuss any questions you might have with your counsel, Mr. Holmes, and in general become familiar with it. We don't think it's fair to essentially shove it in front of you at the last minute and expect you to do anything with it. So what I would suggest instead, if it be the pleasure of the commission, is that we reschedule this matter to a time certain, which would give you the opportunity to review this matter thoroughly and discuss it with your counsel should you wish to do so. I would suggest we could, you could, if you wish to, have a special meeting just to deal with this one issue. If you wanted to do that in a week, that would be fine with us. If you would prefer to add it to the agenda of the next regular city commission meeting, that would also be fine with us. That is entirely your call. So, Mr. Mayor, commissioners, we await your pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. You've heard the request to table this matter to a time certain. Is there any discussion from the commission?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We say that to everyone all the time about putting new information in our face and then expect us to respond immediately. However, I don't see us calling a special meeting just to handle this particular task because it has been put off several times. And I think at this point, while I agree with putting it off, I don't agree with a special meeting or, putting it off any after this, if we so decide as a commission to do so. I think, again, immediate action needs to be taken at some point. Again, we can't keep putting this particular item off and expecting us to, get something started when we keep putting it off. So.
Is there a motion to table this to the next meeting? Is there any other discussion?
Second.
So I can't make the motion, so I'll make the motion to.
I thought that was his motion.
He didn't make a motion.
Well, I'll make the motion to table this issue to time certain, which would be our next meeting.
Second.
This motion to table this for 14 days to the February 25th meeting. There's a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Question's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Woodward.
Thank you, sir.
In 2 weeks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Now we move on to city manager and administrative reports. Before I get to you, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Griffith, do you have anything?
Yes, the golf course RFP was published on the website today. We'll run an advertisement and we'll be assembling a list of golf and restaurateur publications in the region to get the word out. And the city received water taxi number 2 last evening, yesterday.
So for those of you who didn't quite hear, we received water taxi number 2, and the golf course RFP has gone out. Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin. Number two is the pontoon boat for those who want.
I just need a ride. Take a river.
Chief Lambert, nothing. Seal.
Yes, I've got a short video to show. Can I go last or can I go now?
We'll let you go last. Mr. Crowe. Chief.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Reynolds.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Driggers. I think that's everybody.
Sure, that's all right.
It's on you.
Well, maybe not.
Oh, there we go.
Hopefully everybody here knows that we had a fly-in out at the airport, a community open house fly-in on January 20th. Hopefully you got a chance to come out. And we hired local artist Steve Kite, who does a fantastic job to put together some, a photo sound on slideshow. We'd like to show that. But before we do, I want to thank everybody. This is a community effort, and it starts at the top with this commission and the support that it gives to the airport, right on down to the advisory board. Got a fantastic advisory board, and airport staff work their brains out to put this on. So anyway, without further ado, to give you an idea of what the day's like. So if you did miss it, you'll come next year. It's got the name of every POW in America on it. We sold helicopter rides and also rides in that black open cockpit biplane. That big airplane was in Normandy and the Berlin airlift. I'm still tired. That's our airport advisory board puts on a real feast.
Please make note of all our sponsors and give them your business throughout the year. And I didn't say, but there, I don't know if you saw him in the fighter jet, but a 95-year-old World War II fighter pilot flew in the back of that jet, and about an hour later got back in the jet in the front of the jet at the controls and made some high-speed passes for everybody. So it was a real, nice heritage flight he made. We have some nice airplanes out there, and if you didn't get a chance to come, please come next year and go for a ride in the open cockpit biplane.
What was the estimated count?
We estimate between 3,500 and 4,000. We don't count. But every year it's gotten bigger. Year one was about 700 people, and every year it seems to get bigger and bigger, and then kind of starting to grow wings, to use the pun.
The flying was an awesome event, and you did a job well done for you and your committee, and we just thank you for your hard work.
Right back at you, sir. It can't happen without support of the community.
We thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for putting that together. Nice show.
Mr. Suggs.
That's a tough act to follow there. Let's go back and visit the river boats real quick. We did get one of the boats delivered. However, there's still some testing that needs to be done. We need to do a flotation safety check on it. So once we get that information and we have that test actually completed, we'll notify the commission of that date and time and move forward with the boats from there. So I just want a little follow up on that. Last commission meeting, I was asked to go and take a look at the entry road to Crystal Cove. I've had an opportunity to go and visit that, take a look at it. Commissioner Millward and I took a ride out there. Did some with staff's assistance, did some very preliminary rudimentary type math to see what it might cost us to do that repair. Looks like we might be in the $35,000 to $40,000 range, depending on the severity as well as the length of the repair. So I just wanted to have a follow-up for the commissioners on that. Once we get more information and more detailed information, I'll bring it back as a projected project, and we'll go from there. Another item that's on my list of things to accomplish, of course, is go ahead and filling up some vacancies that the commission graciously accepted in the budget this year for human resources as well as public works. So we'll be moving through those, hopefully scheduling interviews within the next week to 10 days, and hopefully coming back in the next commission meeting with hopefully some new staff. Continuously working on the fire assessment fees. I think we're somewhere around 700,000 to date. 697 or so and some change, I believe, Mr. Reynolds.
We broke 700.
We broke 700, very good. And I believe we budgeted this year 787,000, so we still got a little ways to go. And but we're working it every day and making calls and following up. I believe there'll be another round of notices, I believe, will be sent out shortly of those who have not paid yet. So that's where we're at. Again, move forward on some of those projects and hopefully bring them to fruition. Thank you.
Commissioner Norwood.
First, let me thank Mr. Suggs for that preliminary review. That particular roadway. But also, let me go ahead and give my regrets that I won't be at the cleanup this next Saturday. I did another engagement that I committed to already, that I will be out of town for that one. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I have nothing else tonight.
Mr. Moore.
Nothing tonight.
Vice Mayor Brown.
All I want to say is that some of us most of us went to Tallahassee along with the city manager, and we are finding a lot of times that people that are there are new and they don't know where Palatka is. By the time we left, y'all, they know where we are. So.
It was held at Florida A&M University, and it was an awesome event. I sat on the panel with the mayor from North Miami. All also the mayor from Pahokee. And ironically, two drastically different communities, but they had very similar problems, very similar issues to what we have. Got a lot of innovative ideas that came out of it. Had an opportunity to meet with about 18 different legislative representatives throughout the state, and it was amazing to see the number of people who are familiar with Palatka, familiar with the things that are going on in this community, and who were interested in actually lending a helping hand to help us do some things. So we had a lot of representation from South Florida that was willing to actually step up and do some things for us, so we look for some great things in the future. With that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mayor, there's a breach of etiquette here. I didn't thank Jonathan for his help getting ready for that flying in. I'm sorry, Jonathan, but he and his staff rescued us. If you remember, rain showed up on Wednesday and Thursday. It took those 2 days. So we had, basically 1 day to get ready, and I just couldn't have done it without you.
I can't take credit. That's Jermaine Douglas, Jonathan Williams.
And the golf course and
Hey, and we thank you guys for all your work. We're not